Hi, we have a nerd session for you today. Today we have Sasha here from Alexa Hatha Yoga, and we go in depth with two postures. First posture is the downward facing dog, the second posture is upward facing dog, and Sasha is here to show us her beautiful dogs, and then we break them down into all the bits and pieces and little details. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start in a downward facing dog then. So because this is a nerd session, I just quickly go into the three main aspects what you can do in a downward facing dog, which means you push the heels down, that is the first step. The sitting bones are lifting up, it's the second step, and the pushing of the palms of your hands, that's the main three basic techniques. So while she's in her downward facing dog, in most of the asanas you want to have access to all parts of your spine. You want to have them active, not overextended, not passive, round, numb or dull. So what we can do here is, and I show you one technique that you can do. She has a very great flexibility. So what she can do is she can push her sternum a little bit more towards the knees. So listen carefully, sternum towards the navel, and push the sternum towards your knees more. So I want to have more activation in this part of your spine. That's it. If, for example, we want to have little or more access to the lumbar area of the downward facing dog, I can tell her to lift her sitting bones up. Let's do that. And you can see the response in her lumbar spine. If I want to have less of that activation of the lumbar spine, I can just tell her to bring the sitting bones more down. Can you do that? And immediately you can see the response in her spine. Because she has a great flexibility, I can play around with all of these things. Is it okay still? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's give her a quick adjustment so she can rest. So let's look at her upper part of the spine and see what it looks like if the spine and her upper body are overextended. So if I tell her to bring the sternum as much as possible to her knees, would you like to do that? She's really hanging in there. That for me is overextended. If she's doing this too little, then her spine gets round and she closing the part which the energy can flow. The good thing about, and as I said, this is a nerd session today. The good thing is that she has a lot of space up here, which is great. She can have access to a lot of space up here. And for her, is the difficulties with her kind of flexibility to find a balance between an active spine, a round spine, opening in her armpits, and not being numb or not being, as I said, overextended. As Sasha said, she likes to play around. And what I would like to do now is, you see her access to the lumbar spine is great. Sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Yeah. And you can see the lumbar spine gets active, sitting bones down, and you see the lumbar spine gets more round. That is in your responsibility to see your students what is needed. Okay, so just follow my instructions for now. Push your sitting bones up and activate your spine. Then push the palms of your hands into the mat. And I like the space that you have here, but for now I want to have more activation. So open up a little bit more and then even more. That's it. Just push the sternum more towards the knees. So now I see that her space up here is a lot of space, and here she's a bit overextended in her middle of the spine. How I address that area is by saying the sternum towards the navel, and then I can take care of this overextended area in this part. In combination, just be very careful now. Sternum towards the navel. This is one part to take care of this part, the middle spine. And if I want to have even more opening in this upper part of your spine, she holds that action and she pushes more into the palm of her hands. That's it. how I adjust that area here is I can release some weight. If I push on her sacrum, I can release some weight of her arms so she can rest a bit. And then if I even want to have more of this opening here, I can give a slight push. So what's the important thing? If I slightly push here, she cannot lose the sternum away from the navel. If she's doing that, just let go here, then I just push her through. So the main important thing, if you want to open up this area, she needs to have a slight activation of the sternum towards the navel. And the second part is to open up her shoulders in a way that you feel the whole spine is active. Some weight on here, so there's less weight on her hands, and then you have a long time to play around with those three different aspects of the spine. So that's basically how you can address a downward facing dog in different areas of the spine. As I said, in order to get an elongated, active, not overextended spine in the downward facing dog. All right, great. You can come down again. All right, so we continue straight away into an upward facing dog, and I want that you go in a downward facing dog first. So let's do that. And from a downward facing dog, you come first into a plank position. And in this plank position, we have the same three areas. We have the neck area, cervical spine, we have the thoracic spine area, and we have the lumbar spine area. All of three parts needs to be active. If Sasha just shows us how it is to hang through, this is what you see often in your students, so you need to be very careful. How you can address this issue is if you say the pubic bone towards the navel, bam, then you see her lumbar spine is reacting immediately. So, the second thing is, what she shows us already, is how she can take care of her thoracic spine, which means she can push into the palm of her hands to bring the shoulder blades away from the spine. If she's doing the opposite, she will hang through. So for the beginning of your students, you want to have two things. Pubic bone towards the navel to activate this area here, to make this area here safe, and to push into the palms of your hands to make space for that upper part of the thoracic spine. Okay, before we go into up dog, we make a alternative. So bring your knees down, hold your pubic bone towards the navel, and then slightly start to push your hip forward. And the moment you push your hip forward, you also bring your sternum up. And naturally, she comes in a very smooth, harmonious spine position. To go out of the position for beginners is very great to first roll in the head, cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine, and from here into your downward facing dog again. Yeah? So bear with me. As I said, we have a nerd session today to break into the down and upward facing dog. And you want to go in the upward facing dog?
Yes.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, upward facing dog, the full posture from a plank. As I said, pubic bone towards the navel, push the palms of your hands into the mat to create space up here. And then the same strategy, you move your hip forward. The moment you move your hip forward, you lift your sternum up. The only difference between a high cobra and upward facing dog is that the knees stay up in the air. So just stay with the knees up in the air, lengthen the tops of your feet. And then that's it, upward facing dog. So what's the crucial point in upward facing dog? This lumbar spine area. So bow your head down, your thoracic spine, your lumbar spine stay in a plank for now. That's what you not do with beginners, but she's very advanced so she can handle. For beginners, it's very important that if you teach them to move the hip forward, what you can do very slowly, and you bring your sternum up, that and the moment your lumbar spine gets to compromise, they need to start listening to that compromise in the spine and stop in a way that feels good.
Oh.
Good. So we make a short break and then we go into another round. Ready? Upward facing dog again? Okay, let's do another variation. Just go into a plank. So what you do for your students, they're doing the first upward facing dog. You can let them stop in the moment they feel their spine, lumbar spine, are compromising. So just slowly push your hip forward. Pretend somewhere along the way, now it might be that your lumbar spine is compromised. So you bring your knees down, just get some weight off that lumbar spine, and then you might have some more excess. So then again, you stop here if you feel your lumbar spine is compromised, or your students, you teach them in a way, and then only you work on your upper part. So you can, for the beginning, have not the full range of movements by just bringing your hips slightly back. Let the knees down and just move with your hip a bit back. That's it. So you hold below the navel, you can hold some activation to secure your lumbar spine. To get out of the pose, I recommend head rolling, spine rolling, lumbar spine gets round, and from here you move back into a downward facing dog. Good. I think we already have enough for today. We looked at the downward and the upward facing dog. Sasha, thank you for joining and being a beautiful model. And then see you next time.
See you.
You are an Ashtanga teacher in training, is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
So, I want to know, because my first experience with Ashtanga was on YouTube with Patavi Choice. And I need to say it was difficult for me to get into it. Especially like you are ongoing, doing 5 breaths per asana and then you move on. So I think I'm not the only one who has difficulty starting Ashtanga yoga. What are your 3 tips if you want to start with Ashtanga?
First of all, in my opinion, Ashtanga is the yoga of mind. And Ashtanga is a lot about the discipline and mind control. And Ashtanga is exactly the same how you do things in your real life. So it doesn't matter if you do. If you always think, oh, this will be difficulty for me, this will be challenging for me, it will exactly reflect your actions in real life. So this is how I think about Ashtanga. When I come to my mat, I'm there to be myself, not to judge me, and just to breathe and see how my body responds to different asanas. But I never think, oh, this might be challenging for me, because as soon as I do think this, it suddenly becomes absolutely crazy what I'm doing. Oh, not again, all these chaturangas. And then I think, oh, Sasha, it's okay. You can just see how it goes. You can just try doing your best today. Then it flows. And this is my secret number 1.
So what would be a secret number 1 to make it in 1 sentence?
My secret number 1 is Ashtanga reflects your thoughts. And if you think about yourself and if you criticize yourself... No, what? My secret number 1 is don't think about an action as a difficult one.
Okay.
Because if you do think so, it will be difficult and challenging.
All right.
Just play with it.
Okay, good. So secret number 1, be playful.
Be playful, yes.
Okay, good.
That's a good description.
Secret number 2, or your tip number 2 for Ashtanga beginners?
Try to be consistent. And Ashtanga is a lot about consistency, and it's a lot about discipline. And every time when your mind says, please don't do it, don't judge yourself, but try doing. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but try to make it every day, step by step, just a little bit.
Okay.
And then it comes with time. Everything comes with time.
Okay. So be consistent would be the tip
Be
number 2.
consistent.
Be consistent.
Yes.
And secret tip number 3?
Never judge yourself. As soon as you start judging or criticizing, and this inner voice says to you, oh, this is not the asana, this is something that is difficult for me, then it becomes difficult. And all your critics will play the opposite side for you. You will not get more advanced. It will be a drop back, so to say.
Okay.
So
instead of judging, what would you do?
Instead of judging, try to be here and now, and just do as you can in the moment, without judgment. And then I always say to myself, Sasha, it's okay. Try just maybe a little bit. Everything you will do today, it's good. We take it. And then the next day the same, and the next day the same. And with time, magic happens.
Okay, so we have be playful.
Yes.
Be consistent.
Yes.
And the third one?
Don't judge yourself. No judgment.
No
self-judgment.
Okay, and instead of that, be in the here and now and just be realistic.
Be here and now, yes.
Okay, great. Is there something more that I'm interested in? So, on a practical level, these are really nice concepts. So, I start my YouTube video with Patabi choice, and then I come to a point where it's impossible for my body type or where I'm at the moment to continue the series. So I will be stuck at one moment. So what am I doing then in the Ashtanga philosophy? So I'll be stuck at one moment. I come to a certain point. I can do a Trikonasana, I can do a Parsvakonasana, but at one point there comes some crazy advanced postures where I just look at the video and say, okay, not for me today. And then what is your approach then for people who have difficulties like me?
First of all, you think about yourself that you do have difficulties, and if you think you have difficulties, you will always have difficulties. Instead, I would try thinking, maybe I will try doing it today as I can.
It doesn't matter how it looks like. It doesn't matter
how the shape looks.
So I just
like.
Go through the whole series.
You just try. Even if it doesn't look the same like all these crazy Ashtanga videos or whatever you saw there on YouTube, especially with Patabi Joyce.
You know that first series.
Yes, of course. But just try. Don't push your leg up high and don't be judgmental. Don't push yourself. You need to be very, very gentle, careful, but you need to keep on trying. You need to be persistent. Because if you want to have changes in your life, then you need to keep on doing. And this is the secret.
Cool. Sasha, thank you. I will try this tonight and
please send me videos so I can judge you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for being here. It was great, and see you very soon.
Thank you.
Check her out on Instagram, Alexa Hatha Yoga.
Yes.
Great. See you soon.
See you.